So if you've been following Tulsi Gabbard since the beginning of this election, you have had, honestly, no choice but to listen to the critiques that constantly contradict one another. And I would say that oftentimes those critiques are honestly just smears. There's some legitimate critiques, but for the most part, especially when it comes to her foreign policy, they're smears. Now, on one side of the political establishment, you have them calling her an isolationist because she wants to pull out of regime change wars, which is a really weird attack. But there are some people who are progressive who try and harp on the fact that she said she's a hawk on terror, but a dove when it comes to peace and war, that means she supports the war on terror. They conflate that, and Tulsi does a good job of really breaking down and annihilating both of those points in this clip at a live streamed event in New Hampshire. Take a look.
Aloha to you.
Thank you.
I love the palm trees and the ocean on your show.
You'd like to taste them. So I really appreciate your comments about reducing foreign interventionism.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. My question is, I think there's going to be a really interesting balance you have to strike with restoring our reputation with our allies abroad, who right now think that things are completely insane over here. So I'd love to hear a little bit around how you're planning on drawing down our engagements externally, while at the same time bolstering our support for our allies right now.
Yeah, thank you. Very, very good question. Let me start from the outset by undermining a common belief in Washington, which is that because I am so strongly fighting to end wasteful regime change wars, therefore, I'm an isolationist. The problem with that assumption, and it's a common one that I often get asked about, the problem with that assumption, I think, speaks to the dangerous culture in Washington, which is that in order for us to engage with other countries, obviously that means we are going to be bombing them or killing them with sanctions, right? Because if we stop that, well, then all of a sudden we're isolating ourselves from the world. It's terrible. It's a really sick mindset when you really think about it. I'm talking about ending our wasteful regime change wars and actually being the kind of leader and force for good in the world that we can and should be. Promoting peace, promoting understanding, promoting a foreign policy that's based on cooperation, on open lines of communication, rather than walking around the world trying to act as the world's police, waving our big stick. This is how we begin to revive these relationships with other countries in the world, both our allies, as well as those who may be potential adversaries.
Perfectly answered. And it's interesting because I don't think that she's had a chance to answer this on the big stages. And so I'm glad that she answered it here, and I'm glad that we get to talk about it. Because what she said is so true. The culture of Washington, the culture of the Democratic Party is such that if we don't engage in blowing people up, then we're an isolationist country. That doesn't make any sense. And I want you all to understand this. Those are really just smears against Tulsi, right? And here's how you know it. Because Tulsi is also attacked for not being an isolationist. Because she says, well, we have all this power. We have all this authority. We have a lot of diplomatic reach. So why don't we try to solve these problems? So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to Syria. I'm going to meet with Assad. I'm going to meet with the real opposition. And we're going to come get down to the bottom of this so I can tell the country so we can move forward. I'm going to go to India. I'm going to meet with Modi. I'm going to meet with the opposition. And we're going to get down to how we can increase better economic relations with India to help both countries. And those aren't the only two countries she's been to. She's been to several countries where she's met with both sides. Why? Because she isn't an isolationist. But when she goes to meet with these countries, countries that the United States considers their adversaries, but they're not really our adversaries. We just pretend like they are because they have resources that we want, or they're strategically placed in a location next to a country that has resources that we want. She's not an isolationist. So why is she being attacked as one? Either she's an isolationist or she likes making relationships with dictators. Which one is it? They don't have, that's what I'm saying, these attacks, if you listen to the things that she says, all the smears, not the legitimate critiques, the smears easily can be debunked. Easily. Look at voting record, look at her history, look at her rhetoric, and they can be debunked. I love how she says this too, because this speaks to the idea that she supports the war on terror. Really? Even though she's done literally everything legislatively to try and de-escalate it. Stop Arming Terrorists Act, No More Presidential Wars Act, Stop Financing Terrorism Act. I mean, the list goes on, honestly. She's done everything to de-escalate the war on terror because she understands that we are the largest contributor to the war on terror. But everybody says, oh, it sounds like she just wants to get power to go attack people and bomb people. She said in that video, let's stop behaving as the world police walking around with a big stick and start engaging in mutually beneficial relationships with not only our allies, but people who have yet to become our allies. Is that not what you would like in any commander-in-chief? Why, for example, as much as I dislike Trump, why is he being attacked for visiting North Korea? I'm confused. I thought our goal was to de-escalate the potentiality for nuclear war. I don't know, maybe. I thought that was the goal. If Tulsi met with Putin today, she would be completely and totally massacred by the media. But I thought the goal was to not go to war with Russia. I thought the goal was to not, I live in Miami, y'all. I don't have a lot of jackets. I got like one jacket. If we go through a nuclear winter, I'm going to be cold as hell. And also, I'll be dead. So I would rather not deal with either of those things. I moved to Miami to not be cold, and I take care of my body to not die. And I would appreciate it if we didn't demonize people for trying to broker peace between two superpowered, nuclear-powered countries. That's all I'm asking. Jesus Christ. Why is it that we attack our enemies and our allies for the wrong reasons? In the States, anyway. And the answer is clear. It's media manipulation. It's because of the profits that are made off of the stocks from these defense contractors. And I mean, the list really does go on, but the moral of the story is the military industrial complex and the entire establishment doesn't like Tulsi. So the lies that you've seen pushed, many of which the progressive movement has echoed, are just that. They're lies, they're smears, they're mischaracterizations. And yet some people continue to push them anyway. Now I want you to check out this clip really fast about what she said about the Iran situation.
The most dangerous things about the situation with Iran right now is there are no direct lines of communication at the military or civilian levels of our government with Iran. None. So when you think about how dangerous that is, and we've got Iranian ships and American ships in the Strait of Hormuz, where it's very easy to have a miscalculation or misunderstanding that can easily be that one thing that sparks us into an all-out war.
So once again, really highlighting how fostering good relationships, even with our adversaries or, economic adversaries, whatever, can save lives, can stop a war. Once again, proving that she is not an isolationist at all. At all. And you shouldn't perceive her as such. But I can guarantee this, if you gave her the choice, okay, be an isolationist or blow the world up. Yeah, I guess she would be an isolationist at that point. But the foreign policy establishment despises this woman. And I'm glad that she made it very clear that it's these people in DC who basically make it this Hegelian choice of either A or B. Either you're pro-war or you're an isolationist. You're pro-war or you're pro-dictator. There's nothing in between. In Tulsi, it's saying, it's for the people who say, oh, she says she's the hawk on terror. And she said that, what, one time? One time, an interview where she said this in like 2015, where she was taken out of context. One time she said that they've been harping on it for the last 6 months because it's convenient for their argument, for their insane, illogical argument about why they hold her to a higher standard than literally everybody else, even though she supposedly has the least chance of winning. She said that one time. People said that means she wants to go to war and bomb every country. Despite the fact that she said war on terror one time, or excuse me, she's a hawk on terror one time. And how many times has she mentioned bringing peace to this world? I guarantee probably at this point, 1,000 that have been caught on tape, at least. But how come we don't hyper focus on how many times she advocates for peace? Like in situations where she's saying, calling out the fact we have no direct lines of communication. Nobody's concerned about that. We almost went to war with these people because of that. Because we have no direct line of communication. That line of communication was cut off in a very similar fashion as the line of communication in Venezuela. Why? Because we want to commit regime change in both of these countries. What a coincidence. And look at the administration in charge, the chicken hawks. Stop falling for the lies. Stop falling for the smears. Like, stop. You're not helping anybody. You're hurting yourself. You're hurting the movement. And you're wounding, really, our greatest ally in the war against the military-industrial complex. Thanks for watching that segment of Mi Casa es Su Casa. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Roku TV, and on JustNForm.com. Also, you can make sure that you're subscribed to the channel by going to the subscribe button, pressing it, and hitting that notification bell to get all of our notifications. And of course, you can help us reach our goal of 500 patrons on Patreon by supporting the show by donating as little as $1. You can click on the link in the description below for that. And remember, more than anything else, find your balance.